Hello and welcome to my session on the topic entitled Work Motivation. I, Dr. Amjad Ali, Associate Professor of the Department of Psychology, School of Health and School of Health and Medical Sciences, Adamas University, Kolkata. In this class, we will be discussing on the topic work motivation. We will be discussing in detail the meaning, nature, definition, and characteristics of work motivation. Before we go and discuss the term work motivation, as you can see that in this term work motivation, there are two words used. First one is the work and second is motivation. These two words has separate meanings, but if you will combine these two words, you will get another view of the concept. As far as motivation is concerned, motivation has long been the topic of interest for both managers and organizational researchers. This motivation being the core term used in psychology, this has paramount importance in organizational context also. Therefore, there are two primary reasons for this continued interest, continued importance. First, motivation is an integral part of the performance equation at all levels of employees in the organization. It is therefore important topic to understand for pragmatic reason. Second, motivation is seen as the fundamental building block in the development of useful theories of effective management practices. It is indeed an important topic in many subfields in the study of management, including leadership, managerial ethics, decision making, and organizational change. It is not surprising, therefore, that this topic has received a lot of attention and generated many approaches towards understanding the concept motivation. As far as the term work is concerned, as I told you that in this work motivation term that we are discussing, the two words we have used. As far as the work is concerned, it has been defined variously by different authors and different researchers. One researcher has defined work as a purposeful human activity involving physical or mental exertion that is not undertaken solely for pleasure and that has economic value also. The first part of this definition, that is purposeful human activity, distinguishes work from the broader realm of all human effort. The second part, not undertaken solely for pleasure, it separates work from leisure. While allowing for work to be pleasurable and thereby recognizing that there can something be a nebulous boundary between work and leisure. The final part, that has economic value, allows work to be more encompassing than paid employment by also including unpaid caring for others, self-employment, subsistence farming, casual work in the informal sector, and other activities outside the standard boundaries of paid jobs and career aspirations. If you will see another definition given by Lobscute and Davis, they defined work as a focal point for the development of one way of life and vehicle for one's total adjustment throughout life. So these two definitions emphasizes the impact of work on individual lives. Work as a human activity serves several important functions for an individual. Say for example, economic function, social relation function, personal fulfillment function, identity function, etc. Now come to our next point that I told you, that in this class we will be discussing work motivation. So we will be focusing on meaning, nature, definition, and characteristics of work motivation. Okay. Meaning of work motivation. If you will see the meaning of motivation, as I have given you brief introduction of what is motivation and what is work motivation. Sorry, what is work and what is motivation. So if you will see the meaning of motivation, motivation is all the factors that encourage individual to be committed to and interested in doing something over time. However, work motivation is a person's internal disposition towards work. To further this, an incentive is the anticipated reward or aversive event available in the environment. As I told you, related to the work in the definition of work, that incentives or a kind of payment is attached towards what you are doing for the organization. So work motivation is an important to an employee's performance, as that first cup of tea, coffee in the morning. However, not all types of work motivation are the same. Okay. If you will see the nature of motivation, okay, the study of motivation is concerned with why people behave in a certain way. So if you will get to understand why people behave in a certain way, the basic underlying question is, why do people do what they do? This is the basic question related to motivation, because it will give you the answer that you can see in the term motivation. The term motivation derived from the Latin word mover, which means to move. So motivation is the process of arousing movement, but the term ordinarily applies to the arousal of one kind of movement, that is behavior. Movement, say for example, motivation means if you want something, if you have need of something, it is your motivation based on your needs on the basis of which you will try to fulfill your motivation. It will create a kind of drives into you and you will move to attain that drive. So you can say that motivation is an internal force which compels you to act in a particular way to achieve your target, to achieve your goal. As I said here, that it applies to the arousal of one kind of movement, that is behavior. Means motivation can be reflected through your behavior. If your behavior is goal directed to achieve a particular target, means you are motivated to achieve a particular target. Your motivation will be reflected through the way you will act. So the question that why do people do what they do? Because they want to attain that goal, the target, achieve the target. Okay? So it is an important to understand the concept of motivation and highlight its complexity. Now come to definitions of work motivation. As I have said about the work and about motivation can be explained in different way. And if you will see the literature available, different researchers have defined motivation and work motivation in different way. I have given you some of the definition you can see on the slide. One of the definition given by Atkinson, he defined motivation as the contemporary influence on direction, vigor and persistence of action. Another definition given by Vroom, what he says that motivation has to do with a set of independent or dependent variable relationship that explain the direction, amplitude and persistence of an individual's behavior, holding constant the effect of aptitude, skill and the understanding of the task and the constants operating in the environment. Campbell and Partridge has given this definition. Another definition given by Kanfer. Kanfer described motivation as set of psychological process involved with the arousal, direction, intensity, and persistence of voluntary actions that are goal directed. These definitions appear to have four common denominators which may be said to characterize the phenomena of motivation. That is, when we discuss motivation, we are primarily concerned with activation of behavior. Activation of behavior means it has to do with the drive or energy behind our actions and is demonstrated by the arousal of goal-directed behavior that I was talking about. Second, direction of behavior. It is concerned with the paths people choose towards meeting their goals and is seen by the regulation of behavior towards specific goals. Third, persistence of behavior means it has to do with continued efforts in the achievement of goals, often in the face of obstacles, and is demonstrated by sustained activity over a period of time. Fourth one is intensity of behavior, means it is concerned with the extent of effort put in to achieve a goal and is seen in the concentration and vigor that goes into pursuing the goals. Okay. So apart from the definition that we discussed and their denominators, a definition of work motivation that covers these denominators is presented by Cadzel and Thompson, who define it as a broad construct pertaining to the conditions and processes that account for arousal, direction, magnitude, and maintenance of effort in a person's job. On the other hand, Pinder defined work motivation as a set of energetic forces that originate both within as well as beyond an individual's being to initiate work-related behaviors and to determine its form, direction, intensity, and duration. There are two noteworthy features of this definition. First, motivation is identified as an energizing force. It is what induces action in implies. Second, this force has implications for the form, direction, intensity, and duration of behavior. That is, it explains that employees are motivated to accomplish, how they will attempt to accomplish it, how hard they will work to do so, and when they will stop. More recently, Robbins defines work motivation as the willingness to exert high levels of efforts towards organizational goals, conditioned by the effort's ability to satisfy some individual's need. The efforts element is a measure of intensity or drive. A motivated person tries hard, but high level of effort are unlikely to lead to favorable job performance unless the effort is channeled in a direction that benefits the organization. Therefore, one must consider the quality of the effort as well as its intensity. Effort that is directed toward and is consistent with organizational goals is the kind of effort that managers and organizations should be seeking. Finally, motivation is need satisfying process. As I told you in the beginning of this session, that motivation is always need based. If you will have no need, you probably will have no motivation, or none of the motivation you will feel within yourself. So motivation is need based. Finally, as I was giving you the talking about the need based motivation, so I think I should tell you that what is need. A need refers to some internal state that makes certain outcomes appear attractive. Or in short, if I say, a need is lack of some necessities. An unsatisfied need creates tension that stimulates drives within an individual. These drives lead to such behavior to find particular goals that, if attained, will satisfy the need and reduce the tension. When the individual's needs are compatible with the organization's goals, they may exert high level of efforts that are beneficial for the organization. Okay. So work motivation is concerned with factors that energize, channel, sustain, and amplify work performance towards organizational goals. Gaps between motivation and performance exist in organization whenever people avoid starting something new, resist doing something familiar, stop doing something important, and switch their attention to a less valued task, or refuse to work smart on a new challenge and instead use old one. Familiar but inadequate solution to solve a new problem. So you will find the gap. Okay. Now come to the next segment of work motivation, that is characteristics of work motivation. Whatever we discussed so far in the last 25 minutes, on the basis of which we can say that work motivation has several characteristics. First, motivation is an individual psychological phenomena that allows for a person's uniqueness to be demonstrated at the workplace. Second, it is assumed to be under the person's control. Behaviors that are influenced work motivation by motivation, such as effort expended, are seen as supportive rather than random. Third, the direction of a person's behavior toward organizational goals is determined by work motivation. Fourth, It describes concerted effort, often in the face of obstacles, until the goal is accomplished or achieved. Fifth, it leads individual to invest greater cognitive effort to enhance both the quality and quantity of work performance. Sixth, it is distinct from performance. Remember, other factors besides motivation, such as ability and task difficulty, influence performance. It is multifaceted. People may have several different motives operating at once. Sometimes these motivation may conflict with one another. Okay. So these are some of the characteristics of work motivation. Now come to process of motivation. As I said in this class, that motivation is the process. If you are motivated, you will start from a certain point and will end at a certain point. Motivation will happen when you will have need. If your need persists, at a point you will have to start to satisfy that needs. So when this motivation process will end, when you will achieve that needs, attain that needs, or fulfill that needs. So motivation is a process. It starts with a physiological or psychological deficiency. I told you about the meaning of needs. So deficiency or need that activates behavior or a drive that is aimed at a goal or incentives. Goal, the final destination of motivation. Once the goal is fulfilled, motivation complete. Motivation is achieved. So motivation consists of three interacting and interdependent elements: need, drives, and incentives. Needs. Needs are created whenever there is a physiological or psychological imbalance, deficiency. For example, a need exists when cells in the body are deprived of food and water, or when a person is deprived of friends and other companions. Although psychological needs may be based on deficiency, sometimes they are not. For example, an individual with a strong need to get ahead may have a history of consistent success. So need is, in the process of motivation, need is the first prerequisite. Second is drives. Needs leads to drive. Remember, drives are the setup to alleviate needs. They are action oriented and provide an energizing thrust toward achieving a certain goal or accomplishing a certain task. Needs for food and water are translated into a hunger and thirst drives, respectively. And the need for friends become a drive for affiliation. When we will be discussing the need hierarchy theory given by Abraham Maslow, then we will discuss these things, needs, in detail. So in the process of motivation, first was need, second is drive. Third is incentives. Incentive is anything that can mitigate a need and decrease the intensity of the drive. So, attaining an incentive tends to restore physiological or psychological balance and reduce the drive. Eating food, drinking water, and obtaining friends will tend to restore the balance and reduce the corresponding drives. Food, water, and friends are the incentives in these examples. Hope you understand. Now, relationship between motivation and performance. Since we are discussing work motivation, and in organizational context, if we study in organizational context, all the psychological construct or components that we discuss in organizational behavior or human resource management leads to performance. Here also, motivation and performance are related. Motivation is just one of the several possible determinants of job performance. The ultimate goal of studying or researching in organizational term, the purpose is to enhance or elevate performance. So, motivation is one of the several possible determinants which can enhance performance. If an employee is motivated, certainly he will give better performance. This motivation, you can see the figure here, motivation, ability, role perception and situational factors. Means if you will term this as MARS, Mars. So this is the model that you can see. These four factors lead to behavior and results, that is performance. So the Mars model describes four factors that directly influence employees' behavior and performance. Motivation, ability, role perception, and situational factors. The model shows that these four factors have a combined effect on individual performance. If any factor weakens, employee performance will decrease. For example, enthusiastic salesperson means motivation, who understand their job duties, role responsibilities, and have sufficient resources, situational factors, will not perform their job as well if they lack sufficient knowledge and sales skills, that is ability. So any factor out of these four, if you want to improve the performance of an employee, this model suggests that these four factors are prerequisite, are compulsory to enhance the performance or to see the performance of an employee. This model depicts that successful performance involves the cooperation of motivation and ability in clear and supportive work environment. Motivation only leads us to use our knowledge and skills and apply them effectively to work tasks. Without adequate knowledge, clear role perception, and supportive environment, motivation alone does not increase performance. So, adequate motivation is necessary but not sufficient for effective performance. Okay. Another model is general model of work motivation, that We are discussing the model of work motivation. This is, in organizational context, if I would say, is considered as the general model of work performance, work motivation, sorry. A general model of work motivation is, you can see in this figure itself. The model states that internal needs create drives that are affected by one's environment. Okay? The drives encourage motivated employees to put in effort. However, results occur only when motivated employees are provided with the opportunity, such as proper training, to perform and the resources, such as proper tools, to do so. The presence of goals and the awareness of incentives to satisfy one's need are also powerful motivational factors leading to the release of efforts. The level of effort put in, that is motivation, then influence performance together with the ability or the knowledge and skills required in performing that task. When an employee is productive and the organization takes note of it, rewards will be distributed. If those rewards are appropriate in nature, timing and distribution, the employee's original needs and drives are satisfied. At that time, needs may emerge and the cycle will begin again. Okay? So, we will stop here today and we will discuss the next topic related to work motivation or motivation itself in the next class, next presentation. Thank you for joining. Thank you all.